What is up, guys? It is AJ from MMA Experts, and this is the UFC Fight Island 5 Moraes versus Sandhagen full card predictions. Let's get into the first fight of the night. Tagir Ulanbekov takes on Bruno Silva. Should be an interesting matchup here in the flyweight division. For Ulanbekov, he should be undefeated. I went back and actually watched his only defeat. That was against Zumalgov, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And that fight was a very controversial decision. Zalgas is now in the UFC as well. And I saw that fight and I saw that he had lost, and I went back and watched it. And it was one of the most controversial decisions I've ever seen. I believe this kid should be 13-0. Very scary prospect. Trains with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Dangerous kid with a combat sambo background. Now, his opponent, Bruno Silva, though, a solid kickboxer with pretty good movement and speed, and does have a decent amount of power in his hands, and he actually trained alongside Henry Cejudo. Now, in this matchup, I do believe Tagir is going to get the win. I think he's going to overwhelm Bruno Silva here with the grappling and probably dominate a lot of this fight on the ground. Now, getting into the betting odds real quick, I will bring them up. So for Tagir, he is a massive favorite at about minus 400 to a plus 325 underdog in Bruno Silva. If you guys are looking to bet on this fight, make sure you guys check out Best Fight Odds in the description. It will give you the best place to bet to make the most amount of money or lose the least amount of money. Should be an exciting matchup though, and I definitely think Tagir gets this fight done. But moving up to the next fight of the night, it's an exciting fight between two females here. Let me quickly get up the tail of the tape. All right, let's see if we can find this. And here we go. All right, so female fight here. Tracy Cortez takes on Stephanie Egger. Interesting matchup here between these two girls. Women's bantamweight fight. Egger is a very dangerous grappler. Actually fought the monster of a woman, Gabby Garcia, in grappling and did fairly well. She lost that match, but serious size difference. If you guys don't know Gabby Garcia, she's about 215 pounds. Jiu-jitsu competitor as well as fights in Rise and Jack. Looks like a female Brock Lesnar. Now, Tracy Cortez is a really skilled mixed martial artist. Beat Mariah Agapova on the Dana White's Contender Series, earned their shot in the UFC, and it is solid. I mean, 7-1 record. I think if Stephanie Egger was fighting somebody a little lower level of skill set, I would have said I think Egger could get the win in the debut here. Taking this fight on short notice as well, though, I still think Tracy Cortez gets it done. I think it's a competitive fight, though, and I think she wins a unanimous decision. But keep an eye on Stephanie Egger. She's got a really good grappling base, and I think she could be a solid player in this 135-pound division. Now, looking at the betting odds for this fight, we have Stephanie Egger, I believe is the underdog here. I want to see. There we go. Okay. Stephanie Egger, plus 170 dog to Tracy Cortez at a minus 200 favorite. It's weird. Best Fight Odds does not have the matchups in order by any means, which is kind of annoying there. Now, you can look at the Tapology odds, minus 260 to plus 220. All the odds are going to vary a bit, but we know that Cortez is a pretty solid favorite in this matchup. Egger does have a chance for a submission win, but I think it's highly unlikely. I think we see the Thai-style striker, Tracy Cortez, get the victory in this matchup by unanimous decision. Now, let's move up to the next fight of the night. This is an exciting matchup between two very dangerous strikers here. Giga Chikadze takes on Omar Moraes. Good matchup. Very exciting fight in the featherweight division. I think both these guys have a lot of potential to become contenders over the course of these next couple of years. For both men, though, a bit older, 32 and 34, so they really got to make a push right now, and this is a serious fight for both men. The winner is definitely going to get a push forward. The loser will be pushed back, and if Moraes takes a loss, 10-0 young fight, or rather 10-0 older fighter, I don't know. It would be detrimental for his career because I don't know how much longer he has in that featherweight division at 34 years of age. But technical kickboxer is Moraes. I mean, he's really good. He has solid boxing skills. He is coming off an impressive win over Gabriel Benitez. But for Giga Chikadze, this guy's a former champion kickboxer, very high level on the feet and really nasty leg kicks. I think on paper, you think Chikadze would be a substantially better striker, but I think Moraes can compete with him. We've seen Giga Chikadze get a few close decisions and not look that, I mean, not look bad, but not look amazing on the feet. I mean, you can see the technical skills, but sometimes kickboxing and MMA, the striking is a little different. He's still adjusting. I do think Giga Chikadze has a chance to win this one here, but I do think Moraes ends up getting a split decision win over Giga Chikadze here. Now, wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way. I'd stay away personally on a bet on this fight. Not too much to be made. On Tapology, they have Giga Chikadze at a plus 135 slight underdog to Omar Moraes at a minus 165 slight favorite. I think the odds are fair. I think it's almost a pick'em's fight. I think either man can win this matchup, but I am going to ride with Moraes on a split decision win in this fight. It's very close, and I do think, though, that we could see Giga Chikadze get it done. He's a very high-level kickboxer. Now, next fight of the night, exciting matchup. AlQaisi takes on Tony Kelley. Both these guys had awesome UFC debuts, and they both lost, but they both put on really good fights, and especially Tony Kelley fought Kai Kamaka, and that was an absolute battle. Awesome fight. I really like Tony Kelley. I like Ali, too. He's a solid fighter. I thought Ali would actually be able to beat Irwin Rivera in his debut, but he did take the loss there. I think that the kickboxing skill of Kelley is just a bit better. He's a bit faster. AlQaisi is that boxing-heavy attack. There was that big looping overhand, but I think that Tony Kelley does beat him here. I think it's competitive. I think it's close. I think it's entertaining. I think it goes 3 rounds. I think we see Tony Kelley with a unanimous decision win over AlQaisi. The odds do agree. They have Tony Kelley at a minus 210 favorite to AlQaisi at a plus 170 dog. I could see the odds being a bit closer, but that's where the odds are sitting at as of right now. But I do got Tony Kelley winning, and I am very excited to see this matchup because I do think Kelley is a very skilled striker, and AlQaisi's good too. And Tony Kelley's fights, I mean, when he fought Kai Kamaka, that was an absolute battle, and I think we are in store for an excellent fight here between these two. Now, moving up, this is a fun fight. This is middleweight prospects here. Impa Kasanganay has looked good. He won on Dana White's Contender Series 2 times in a row, gets the UFC contract, comes in, beats Maki Pitolo, and now he takes on Joaquin Buckley, who is a decent fighter, very tight boxing style, who throws a ton of power in his punches. But I think Impa Kasanganay has the higher fight IQ, also definitely a better gas tank. I think Kasanganay, though, has to be cautious of Joaquin Buckley because he's going to throw a lot of power in his punches. Not a significant height difference here, about 1 inch taller is Impa Kasanganay. The reach is exactly the same. I think, though, that we see Impa Kasanganay en route to a unanimous decision win. I do believe he mixes in some grappling attacks, gets Joaquin Buckley to the ground. But in the first round, Joaquin Buckley has his best chance to win. He is very dangerous in round number 1. The guy comes out with a lot of hard punches. Now, the odds, very widespread. Joaquin Buckley is a plus 210 underdog to Impa Kasanganay at a minus 255 favorite. I understand the odds. Impa Kasanganay does have, a lot of not that much hype around him, but he is known to be a very skilled fighter, and I do think he has a lot of potential at middleweight, 26 years of age, both men. But I do think Impa Kasanganay is a bit more experienced in terms of high-level fights. But, I mean, looking at the fights, similar amount of fights. But Impa Kasanganay has a higher fight IQ. It seems like he's been fighting longer than he has. And I think that's why he beats Joaquin Buckley here by a unanimous decision. Could be a fun fight, though, in the middleweight division. Now, we're moving up to heavyweight. This is a very interesting matchup between these two here. Let me quickly pull up the tail of the tape. Both men undefeated in the octagon. Rodrigo Nascimento, 8-0 as a pro, versus Chris Daukaus, 9-3 as a pro. Daukaus is a savage. Daukaus, you look at him, you don't think he looks all that impressive, has the gut, not really in that great of physical shape, but he's a monster. I mean, he has a ton of power in his hands, and he can knock out a lot of guys in this heavyweight division. But Rodrigo Nascimento, very skilled grappler, also a decent striker in his own right, and his dangerous submission skills are going to make a serious difference here. I think he gets Chris Daukaus to the ground. I think we're going to see a submission victory round number 2 for Rodrigo Nascimento over Chris Daukaus in this matchup. But Daukaus definitely does have the puncher's chance. Still riding with Nascimento here. Looking at the odds, minus 290 favorite is Nascimento to the plus 235 underdog Chris Daukaus. I get the odds. I think it's the striker versus grappler matchup. You got to favor the grappler in this one, especially as solid as Rodrigo Nascimento looked, in his debut against Don'Tale Mayes. I think he goes out, and I think he beats Chris Daukaus in the second round by submission. And I'm excited to see what Nascimento can do in this heavyweight division. Very young guy, only 27 years of age. Now, moving up to the next fight. This is a fun one. I'm very excited for this matchup. Tom Breese, I would say he's A bit underrated at times. Granted, he does have some disappointing defeats, but I mean, look at his record, 11-2 as a pro. He takes on KB Bhullar, undefeated 8-0 kid. I think that if Bhullar was fighting somebody else, I would have probably been like, hey, he can win, especially if it was another debuting guy. I think KB Bhullar has a lot of talent. He was supposed to fight in the Contender Series, but the problem is you're putting him in against Tom Breese, who's a very high-level boxer with a lot of power in his hands. I do not think KB Bhullar is going to go out there and beat Tom Breese right away. Granted, KB Bhullar is a southpaw, and I believe usually southpaw, would be a disadvantage, but Tom Breese also being a southpaw, his jab is going to be working very nicely in this matchup. I think Tom Breese fights better against southpaws. I think he stops KB Bhullar here in the second round. Now, the betting odds do agree. They have Tom Breese at a massive favorite, -260 to +210 underdog KB Bhullar. I mean, a lot of fights on this card we've seen with those similar odds. Not necessarily mismatches, but a decent split in the skill set. And I do think Tom Breese, though, definitely gets it done. But KB Bhullar is going to have a chance here. He's coming in. He's getting his UFC debut. I'm excited to see how he looks. But I think it's very hard to beat Tom Breese coming into the UFC for your first fight. And I think Breese gets to win in this matchup. Now, moving up to the first fight on the main card. This should be a fun one between two solid prospects here. Let me quickly bring up the tail of the tape for you guys. All right. We have Youssef Zalal versus Ilia Topuria fight here. Very exciting fight. I mean, 145-pound division. Topuria, solid submission specialist. He has very nasty takedowns, and I do think he could, get this fight to the mat and get a submission. I think Youssef Zalal needs to keep this fight on the feet. I mean, he's a very precise kickboxer, dangerous striking skill, switches his stances very fluidly. He's really high level. I mean, Youssef Zalal is a young guy, only 24 years of age. Ilia Topuria, only 23. I think these guys both have loads of potential. The 10-2 Zalal, though, he's got a bit more experience. I think his range control is very good. I think he's going to be able to fight off the grappling attack of Ilia Topuria, and we actually see Zalal get a stoppage here. I'm going to predict that he gets a stoppage in the first round over Ilia Topuria. Might not go that way, but I think a TKO win is very likely here. If you go back to Topuria's last fight, I believe, I forget the name of the guy. I think Steve Gonçalves, maybe. Don't quote me on that. But Topuria was dropped. He was hurt in that matchup, and Youssef Zalal is a significantly better striker than Topuria's last fight, last opponent, and I think that we're going to see Youssef Zalal get his first stoppage win in the UFC here. I think he's got a ton of potential, and I'm very excited to see what's next for him after this fight. And looking at the height difference too, 5'10 to 5'7, and there will probably be a reach advantage. Unfortunately, Tapology didn't have a reach listed. I do believe I heard that it is about a 70-inch reach or a 71, but don't quote me on that. It's not a guarantee that that's his exact reach. But looking at the odds, -170 favorite is Youssef Zalal to the +150 underdog Ilia Topuria. Zalal's the pick. I think he does get it done. I think he gets it done dominantly, but don't doubt Ilia Topuria. I think he will be a player in this 145-pound division in the UFC. Now, moving up to the next fight, this is a very exciting matchup. Hot heavyweight prospect Tom Aspinall. His opponent in this matchup, short notice replacement. He was originally supposed to fight Sergey Spivak. Now he takes on Alain Baudet. I think that Tom Aspinall, I mean, we've seen it. The power is very serious with this man. He's coming off a quick knockout win over Jake Collier. Alain Baudet, decent fighter. I went back and watched the footage on him, and I think he has some skills, but he's susceptible to getting hit with big punches. He leaves the chin a bit too high, and when you're fighting Tom Aspinall, you cannot do that. Also, Alain Baudet is a light heavyweight. He's moving up. He's fighting at heavyweight. I don't think that's a good plan, especially against a hot prospect like Tom Aspinall. I think Aspinall obliterates him in this matchup, to be honest with you guys. I think we get an early stoppage, round number 1, Tom Aspinall by KO. Looking at the odds, massive -360 favorite to the +285 underdog Alain Baudet. I think Aspinall definitely gets it done. And I think a stoppage victory. I think even betting on a knockout win for Aspinall is a fair bet, because I really see him winning this fight by knockout. I do not think Alain Baudet has a chance. Alain Baudet's lone defeat was a 25-second knockout loss. He rushed in, his chin was exposed, and he got cracked and put down. That was at light heavyweight. That was against a small light heavyweight. Tom Aspinall is a hard-hitting, massive heavyweight at 6'5". This is a domination here. I think Tom Aspinall gets it done very quickly, and I'm excited to see this matchup. I do like Aspinall a lot. He has a lot of upside. Next fight of the night, though, this is an interesting one. Marcus Perez, he's fighting here. Let me quickly get this fight. He's taking on Dricus du Plessis. Now, Dricus du Plessis not really super well known, but he's actually got a lot of skills, and he's been a champion in multiple organizations. EFC, middleweight and welterweight champ. Also was the KSW welterweight champ, and in kickboxing, he was a Waco gold medalist kickboxer. I think that this kid's very dangerous, but Perez, unorthodox striker, southpaw, hands low, likes to throw very unorthodox attacks. He's dangerous, and his submission skills are very, very good. He has really tight chokes. But in this matchup versus Dricus du Plessis, I'll be honest with you guys, I think that we see Dricus get the win here, and I won't be shocked if he is the first man inside of the UFC to stop Marcus Perez. Maybe, believe the first man ever to stop Marcus Perez. I think we're going to see a TKO win for Dricus du Plessis in round number 3. That is my prediction in this matchup. Now, Dricus is also a slight favorite, minus 145 to Marcus Perez at a plus 125 underdog. I do agree with the odds. I think they are close enough. They should be close. Marcus Perez, experienced guy. He could go out there and submit Dricus du Plessis, but a lot of fights du Plessis has. He has 16 bouts. Marcus Perez 15, so both these guys a lot of experience. Yes, he hasn't fought in the UFC, the highest level, but KSW, EFC, those are fairly big leagues in Africa and I believe Poland. And I do believe that we're going to see Dricus get the victory in this matchup, and I'm very excited to see this fight. Now, moving up to the heavyweight division. This is a big matchup here. Not top 10 heavyweights, but guys that have been in the mix for a very long time. I guess technically you could say probably top 15. Marcin Tagir by Tapology's 15. Ben Rothwell 17 by Tapology. Minus 195 favorite is Rothwell as well. To Marcin Tagir at a plus 160 dog. Very fun matchup though. I mean, maybe not fun. It could be a boring fight, but I think Ben Rothwell will make it fun because he's an entertaining guy. Ben Rothwell, a lot of power in his hands, sneaky power in his hands, dangerous boxing, very unorthodox. Now, Tybura, his style is very pressure heavy against the fence. He's going to look to get this fight to the mat. He's not going to be able to do that to Ben Rothwell. Ben's bigger than him. Ben's stronger than him. I think Ben Rothwell actually gets a stoppage win here over Marcin Tybura in the second round. If you look at his last fight, yes, Ben Rothwell had a very competitive fight versus Ovince St. Preux. He won a split decision, but OSP is a very fast fight. Excuse me. Very fast fighter, especially at heavyweight. Moving up from light heavyweight is very quick. Compared to most of these heavyweights, Marcin's slower, doesn't have as good striking. I think we see Ben Rothwell get a stoppage win, and I think he looks very good in this matchup. And I'm really excited to see this fight, honestly. This is going to be a fun heavyweight fight. Ben Rothwell, an OG of the heavyweight game at one point, was one of the best heavyweights on the planet, and now he takes on Marcin Tybura here, who's a top 15 guy. And let's see what Ben Rothwell has left in the tank. I do think he wins it. Now, co-main event of the evening. Very exciting matchup. We have the beautiful graphic here, the tail of the tape for the big fights. Let me know what you guys think of these graphics as well. Edson Barboza takes on Makwan Amirkhani. This fight here in the featherweight division. I'm very excited to see this fight. Edson Barboza is a very high-level striker. Makwan Amirkhani, very high-level grappler. Very credentialed wrestler as well, both in freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling. He's a champion. Edson Barboza, some of the nastiest kicks in MMA history. Leg kicks are very dangerous. Now, if you look at Makwan Amirkhani, he did gas a bit against Shane Burgos. That's my biggest worry with him, but he has a lot of skills and he could beat Edson here. Now, saying all that, I do think Edson squeaks by. I think it's a very competitive decision Edson gets, but I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if Makwan Amirkhani was able to beat Edson Barboza in this matchup. Still, my pick is Edson Barboza, but be wary if you're planning to bet on Edson because I think Makwan has a serious chance here, and maybe a bet on Makwan, a little bit of something, it would be a safer bet because I think he is a fairly sized underdog. Yeah, he's a plus 220 dog. This over on 5 dimes. Plus 220 underdog to Edson Barboza at a minus 260 favorite. I'll be honest, I think the odds could be closer than that. I think they're a little too widespread. I think it's because of Barboza's history as a top contender at lightweight. But this is featherweight. Makwan Amirkhani is a serious featherweight. He's very good. He's only lost 2 fights, and I think that he's a serious threat to Edson Barboza here. But I am picking Edson by a decision, but it's a very competitive matchup. And I wouldn't go spend the house on Edson because I really could see Makwan Amirkhani getting the upset win here. But moving up to the main event of the evening, this is going to be an absolute show. I mean, I can't wait for this fight, to be honest with you guys. This is one of the most exciting matchups of the year. Marlon Moraes takes on Cory Sandhagen, two of the best bantamweights in the world. I believe the winner of this fight will be very close to a title shot. Yes, Sandhagen coming off a loss, Marlon Moraes coming off the controversial win over Jose Aldo. Now, fun matchup though. I think that Cory Sandhagen, watch the Aldo fight. There is a blueprint to beat Marlon. Yes, Aldo lost in the scorecards. Pressure. Marlon does not like fighting off the back foot. If he's fighting moving backwards, he's struggling. I think Cory Sandhagen, he's going to use that reach advantage, 3.5 inches. Also has a height advantage as well, 5'11" to 5'6". I think he's going to win here. I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on Marlon. I think he's going to move him backwards. And also the unorthodox attack of Cory Sandhagen. Hands low, rips to the body. He's going to gas out Marlon Moraes in this matchup. Now, Marlon definitely has a chance by knockout. He could stop it probably in the first 2 rounds if he throws a lot of power. That left switch kick is very dangerous. Marlon is very dangerous in the first minute. He's got early stoppages inside the UFC. Knocked out Jimmy Rivera very quickly. Knocked out Aljamain Sterling very quickly, and Cory Sandhagen coming off the loss to Aljo. But styles make fights. I think this is a striker's dream match. I think this is the best matchup you could have made at bantamweight, and I think Cory Sandhagen gets a TKO in round number 4 over Marlon Moraes. Marlon's very muscular. He does gas a bit, and I think Sandhagen will take advantage and get a very impressive win, and I cannot wait to see this fight. I do think if Marlon does pull off a win, though, he'd be right in line for a title shot. With Sandhagen, he probably needs one more just because the Aljo lost, but I think that both these guys are threats to Petr Yan, but especially Cory Sandhagen. He's very tall. He's one of the tallest bantamweights in the UFC, might be the tallest one. I believe the only guy the same height as him is Sean O'Malley. This is the fight that I think a lot of people want to see. They need to see. You guys got to check this fight out. It's going to be insane. I expect a back and forth battle in the first 2 rounds. Sandhagen, though, will definitely start to take over in round number 3 and 4. The body attack will start to wear Marlon Moraes out, and he will be stopped. We've seen him stop before. We've seen him gas a bit before, and I think that will be no different in this matchup when we see Cory Sandhagen with a serious victory. Now, looking at the betting odds, I do think Sandhagen is still a favorite. He's sitting at a -130 favorite to Marlon Moraes at a +110 dog. Very close odds. It's a pick'ems fight, but I do think Cory Sandhagen is the guy to put money down on. I think he wins, but Marlon does have a shot. First 2 rounds, Marlon has a chance. After the second round, I don't think so. I think that that's Cory's fight. But with that all being said, I do think Cory could potentially win the first 2 rounds as well and dominate this whole fight. But back and forth fight, it's going to probably be, even if Cory's winning the rounds, I do think Marlon is going to be landing serious shots, and he is always has the potential for the knockout. That left switch kick is very dangerous. His punching power, very dangerous. And he's one of the strongest bantamweights in the UFC. You can tell by his physique. I mean, the guy is jacked. Cory Sandhagen, more of a lanky striker, but I mean, he's high level with his striking skills, a lot of kickboxing experience, and I do think he beats Marlon here, and I can't wait for this fight. You guys can tell I'm excited. The UFC Fight Island 5 card, it's a really good one. Some lesser known guys, but a lot of hot prospects. You guys got to check out these guys that don't have the big names, because they are the stars of tomorrow. They get built on these fight night cards. Cannot wait to see these matchups. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. Also, guys, let me know what you think of the full card predictions. I haven't done it in a couple weeks now, but I wanted to bring it back. I was missing doing it. I like doing a little more brief discussion, a little more casual discussion about the card, and that's what this is. But that is it, guys. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you with all the post-fight stuff.